Hi, I am Dr. Ayda Başgül Martin, and in this brief video, I will talk about the layers of the skin, anatomy and physiology. At the end of this video, you should be able to describe the function of the skin, layers of the skin, and layers of the epidermis and layers of the dermis, and define each layer's function. And you need to describe the hypodermis is the layer under the skin and identify each layers on the anatomical models and under the microscope. And you should be able to define the fingerprints and list the most common fingerprints found in humans. Skin is the largest organ of the body by weight. The functions of the skin are acts as a barrier and protects underlying organs from pressure, radiation, and physical, chemical, and biological damages. It also prevents water loss, helps regulating body temperature, and permits the sensations of touch, heat, cold, pressure, and pain by housing the sensory receptors. Gives aesthetic appearance and color. Is a reservoir for the synthesis of vitamin D. The skin is composed of two main layers, epidermis and dermis. Epidermis labeled with the B in the picture and dermis labeled with the C in this picture. And A shows B plus C, that means epidermis plus dermis, which the two layers of the skin from the superficial to deeper, epidermis and dermis. So A showing the skin itself. So the epidermis is the superficial layer and made of keratinized, stratified, squamous epithelial tissue. That means it's the epithelial tissue and there is more than one layer because it's stratified, and squamous because the top layer has the flat shaped epithelial cells. A deeper layer of the skin called dermis, made of dense, irregular connective tissue that houses blood vessels, hair follicles, sweat glands, and other structures. Beneath the dermis lies the hypodermis, which labeled with the D in this picture and shown with the length shown with the arrow. The hypodermis composed mainly of loose connective and fatty tissues. Notice hypodermis is not accepted as a layer of the skin, but it's the layer under the skin. That's why we call them subcutaneous or subcutaneous tissue as well. So if we need to tell the layers of the epidermis, we can either start from surface, we can go stratum corneum, most superficial layer, and stratum lucidum is the layer found only in the thicker skin, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and the deepest layer, stratum basale, which is the mitotic or germinative layer. Throughout our body, thickness of the skin varies. In this model, shown the forearm skin on the left side and palms and soles skin on the right side. When you look the epidermis thickness, as you see, epidermis is thicker in palms and soles comparingly with the forearm skin. And when you look the epidermis, and although we will talk in detail, has one more layer in the epidermis we will call stratum lucidum, which represented with the undulating white line and shows I pointed out to you with the horizontal black arrow. Again, in this model, you see the thickness of the epidermis. On the right corner, you see the vertical red arrow showing the thicker epidermis. Comparing to on the left side, there is a thinner red arrow showing the epidermis. Dermis. The dermis is made of two layers of connective tissue that compose an interconnected mesh of elastin and collagen fibers produced by fibroblasts. There's two layers, the superficial layer called papillary layer and deeper layer called reticular layer, which I labeled in this picture for you. Trivia question. Do you have the same fingerprints now as to when you were a baby? The answer is what? Yes. Our fingerprints does not change. In this model, with the Roman number 1 shows epidermis, Roman number 2 shows dermis, 3 hypodermis. And layers of the epidermis, again labeled with the lowercase a, stratum corneum, which is the superficial layer, stratum lucidum labeled with the B, stratum granulosum C, stratum spinosum D, and stratum basale or mitotic layer or stratum germinativum labeled with the E. Hypodermis or subcutaneous layer. Hypodermis is a layer under the skin and formed by loose connective and adipose tissue, serves for insulation, energy storage, and absorbing the shock, cushioning. By age, hypodermis get thinner due to loss of the adipose tissue. Fingerprint impression made by the papillary regions of dermis on the ends of the fingers and thumbs. Fingerprints, the friction ridge arrangement on every finger of human being is unique and does not alter with growth or age. Most common type of the fingerprint we call loop, which is the 60 to 65% of the people has loop, and the second most common is the whorl, and third is arch. Can you test your knowledge? Those are the questions. You may stop this and answer yourself because I have the answers in the next slide. So what are the two layers of the skin from superficial to deep layer? Epidermis and dermis. Notice it is asking the layers of the skin, not the layers of the epidermis. So what epidermal layer undergoes mitosis, allows skin repair? Stratum granulosum. What epidermal layer is formed by dead keratinocytes and sheds regularly to refresh the skin? Stratum corneum. What forms the fingerprints? Dermal papillae. And trivia question, do you have the same fingerprints now as to when you were a baby? Answer is what? Yes, fingerprints do not change by age. I hope you learned and you enjoy it. Please feel free to give me feedback by liking or leaving a comment below. Thank you.